Hi, this is Michael. So in this episode, I'm going to share about my experiences with burnout, selling my company, taking a long break from business for over a year, and now coming back, the lessons I've learned, and what's next. So back in 2021 and 2022, and actually even earlier before that, it was really quite a lot of stress for me. I've tried to grow the company, and we got quickly from just a couple employees to between 10 and 30 employees in our team, full-time or part-time. And also a couple agencies we worked with and a couple dozen freelancers. And I was quickly training managers and trying to find an operations manager, and I went for several operations managers, some less experienced that I promoted, some a lot more experienced, and kind of trying to figure it all out, building OKR and traction and implementing systems and processes and trying to scale things quickly. And it didn't seem to work very well. At some point, we were losing money, and I had to put a lot more money, a lot more capital into the company, hoping that things would pick up and grow. And it wasn't really fun, and it was really challenging because I wasn't doing what I loved doing. I was not, most of my time was spent just solving some minor problems, training new people, kind of figuring out how to deal with all sorts of ongoing small issues that nobody else could deal because they didn't know enough about all the different parts of the business. And I was hoping that I would get to a point there where we have systems and managers and everything works well, but we never really got anywhere close to that. And it was causing me a lot of stress, like really a lot of stress. And so around 2022, it was really getting to me. By mid 2022, I wasn't sleeping well, had a lot of headaches all the time. My appetite was kind of going all over, and my health was suffering. I was feeling overwhelmed, and I was getting really irritable and frustrated a lot. And even when I tried to work less, like only a couple hours a day, it was still too much. And I had various health issues with stomach, with all sorts of stuff. And I also wasn't making profits because, we just had too many expenses. Even though we had really good deals, uh, we had too many people, and it was a bit of a chaos there. And so at some point I realized that I just needed to take a long break. I saw that I tried to get this going, to get this working well for a few years with limited success, and I just was out of energy. I couldn't do it anymore. So I knew that I needed to sell and just take a long break. And so I decided to sell the company back in around mid 2022. It was clear to me that I just needed to take a long break from everything and rest, relax, take a very long vacation, and sort of, replenish my energy and allow the nervous system to stabilize. It was a major burnout after about 17 years of working, and pretty much the entire time I was working. I didn't have any long periods of vacations before. So by that time, it all really accumulated, the stress had accumulated and was really getting to me. So at first, in mid 2022, I wanted to get a really good price, a really good deal for the company and all the assets. And we had a portfolio of websites. We had a couple funds, and I had some personal websites as well, and all kinds of different businesses in our portfolio, and the brand and everything. But that wasn't working out. I wasn't able to get a really good deal. I had a few, but I had an offer, but it would have forced me to stay on for a few more years, and I wasn't ready to do that because I wanted to take a break. And that was quite challenging to find. But eventually, I found. Eventually, I was able to sell after lowering the price a lot and agreeing to a different deal structure. And so what was important for me is to make sure that the new owners would take over all the different responsibilities that we had for the employees, the clients, the assets, the investors, and that we would have a smooth transition. And so that's what I was doing initially. So we made the deal at the end of 2022. And then initially I still stayed on to help them with transition, to help to assist, to give them some advice. But at some point my advice was no longer needed, so I could take a break. But first, because we ended up firing most of the team and replacing many of them, so I first focused on helping the former employees find some new work, giving them some advice and some assistance to find a new job, and also following up on some projects with some investors to see that, you know, what we could do to improve things. But later on, the new owners had different plans, and so they no longer needed my advice, so I could really take a break. And at first, it was really interesting. Like, if you've ever been in a similar situation, you would probably recognize that. But there is that feeling of just this major weight being taken off my shoulders, all this responsibility, all this stuff, and all this risk. So that was quite liberating initially, and it probably took me a couple of months just to realize that, oh, I don't need to check my email every day. I don't need to put out any fires. I don't need to do anything like every day for a while. And so it took this few months just to get from this stressed, anxious hustle mode to being able to simply relax and being okay with just relaxing and just taking a break, because it was really difficult. I wasn't really used to being relaxed. And so I ended up taking a long break for over a year. I was meditating a lot. I did long meditation retreats where I was meditating many hours every day for months. And I was doing a lot of yoga and qigong, and I was eating healthy and really focusing on recovering my health and energy and finding that inner peace and joy and sort of bringing it into my daily life. It was quite an inner journey, but I also listened to a lot of books, I read things, I studied things, and eventually at some point I felt that I was ready to get back to business after over a year. But now it's different. So while previously there was a lot of stress and a lot of like really this sort of hustle mode, and now I can approach business from a different perspective, just really knowing what I'm good at, what I'm not good at, knowing what I enjoy doing, and really focusing on that. And so that's what I'm up to now. And I also learned a lot of many really important lessons from this whole experience, from business, from being in business for now close to 2 decades, doing hundreds of deals and managing so many projects, by trying so many things and naturally failing so many times, because, well, if you try a lot, you will inevitably fail a lot. I've learned basically what I'm good at and what I'm not so good at. And I think that's really the most important thing in life and in business, because you have to know what works for you, and it's going to be very different than what works for many other people. The first thing I've learned is that I'm really good at making deals. That's the way I made most of my money, just seeing opportunities there others do not see them, seeing the big picture in the way that most other people would not see it. And often I had these deals that I would share to some friends and some contacts in the industry, and they just looked at it and said, hey, this is too much risk, this doesn't look good. But I knew it was good, and I bought it, and it went well. So that's really a big thing. Understanding the industry, understanding the marketplace, knowing what to look, where to look for, and like just knowing and recognizing what's a good deal, having that sort of perspective. So that's been the best skill. That's been the most important thing for me, and that has consistently worked really well. Like even when I was quite stressed out during those years, I was able to acquire good businesses, to get good deals. I was often able to do deals for a big discount, 20%, 30% below market value, some periods more than 50% below market value when and then the market started to crash and lots of people wanted to sell. So having cash and knowing what's a good deal is a major thing. So that was the first thing, is really kind of focusing on deals, buying and selling. The other thing I've learned is that I'm not that good at operations, at scaling, at managing things. And it's a very different set of skills. And it's very interesting because to be able to see what's a good deal and then do a transaction and acquire it and then kind of make a list of things to do in that business, how to improve it, how to grow it, is one thing. But then managing it consistently and operating it over a period of time to make sure that like the same sort of things are getting done every day or every week, and managing people, it's very different. And I've gotten a little better at it, but still nowhere nearly as good as people who are more natural at that. So I've learned that that's just not something that is natural for me. And I think that there are certain things that everybody's really naturally good at, and that if they double down on that, that's the recipe for success in life and in business. And if there are certain things that you are just not naturally good at, of course you can get better at that, but it's not going to be a great use of your time, of your energy to try to focus more on that, because also you just won't enjoy it. And I didn't enjoy trying to grow the company, to scale it, operate it. It was never enjoyable for me. And so that was also a very big lesson for me to learn. So to understand that I'm only good at finding deals and doing transactions, and then really just managing that initial process of improving, of quickly building things. And then it's very important for me to handle the responsibility to somebody who is very good at operations. And that's the other thing, is also finding those people. So that's the next thing that I'm going to focus on now, as well as finding partners who are good at operations, have a long track record, and making sure that the incentives are aligned, that we have a clear strategy and clear set of responsibilities. So the next lesson I've learned is not to do too many deals. It's important to have focus. And we often had between 10 and 20 businesses in the company at the same time, sometimes more, sometimes less. And that didn't work very well, because me personally, I was able to maybe only take care of ideally, one or two, sometimes maybe three, or even like several more. But so I was focusing on the bigger deals, but I didn't have enough time to look at any of the smaller ones. And often they didn't do very well. So it's important to have that kind of focus. And that's also why I'm planning to just focus on one deal at a time and make sure that that deal goes well. And then I can transfer my attention over to the next thing, because you have to be aware of your kind of attention span, of your energy span, and how many things you can do at the same time. Some people are really good at multitasking. I'm a lot better at just kind of focusing on one thing at a time and just doing that one thing really well. The next thing I've learned is that I got a lot of advice, and that from many people, many of them very successful, and I read a lot of books at that time on how to scale a business. And what I've learned is that most of that conventional advice is not very good, surprisingly, because the way it often happens is you would see somebody who achieved quite a bit of success and they share their story, and then you think, oh, okay, I'm going to go and do the same thing. But it never really works like that. It's very rarely that it would work, because if something worked for them, the chances that the exact same thing is going to work for you, it's not very high. If they learn some lessons and they share those lessons, and then you listen to those lessons and you look at how to apply them to your own situation, that might work. but copying something else, it just doesn't work. And the reason is because we are all very different. Businesses are different. They're similar, but also different. And it's important to know those distinctions to see the differentiation. So I've learned to listen to a lot of advice, but then just go into what I think works, what I believe in, what I trust is going to work. Because it's important to know what works for you. And it's going to be often very different than what works for other people. So that's very important. And the other thing is most of the conventional advice is often counterintuitive. For example, if you've listened to some books or read some books about decision making, some people would say that you should take a long time to contemplate things, while others might say that you should just trust your gut feeling. The two do not align very well. At the same time, there are some people who would say that you need to have a long checklist, while there are others who would say that checklist only slow you down. And so there is a lot of conflicting advice in business. And really the only way to find what works for me has been to try a bit of everything and then see what works. And I think that's pretty much the only way you can go about it. You have to try a few things and then see what works. The next thing I've learned is that it's better to do bigger deals. It's always been better for me in terms of chances of success. When I look at all the deals, hundreds of deals that I've done over the past 2 decades, the best ones were usually the biggest ones, because if it's bigger, I put more attention into it. I put more of my own time and energy, and that's what really is responsible for success, because I'm going to put more effort into due diligence, more effort into looking after it, making sure that it works well, and that's what really matters. So doing bigger deals for me is actually a lot safer than doing a few smaller deals. And this might sound counterintuitive, but from my experience, from looking at the statistics, it's very clear. Pretty much all of the biggest deals I've done went quite well when I was able to assign enough attention to them. And also because bigger deals usually it's not always the case that bigger websites, bigger businesses are safer, but it is the case that when I'm going to go and spend a larger amount of money, I'm going to expect to have more diversification. So there would be on different types of multiple sources of traffic, multiple sources of income, and there would be certain advantages to the business, that it's not just a simple content website, or it's not just the one product that's being sold in the e-commerce company. It's something that has more diversification. That is the expectation. And then this is also what I would generally be looking for from a bigger business. And that allows to protect the downside, so that if things don't go well, it's not going to be a 90% loss or even a 70% loss. Maybe it will go down 30%, maybe it will even go down by half, but it can be recovered, and it often has many extra opportunities to grow the business, and that's what I really like. So it gives you many different venues and channels that you can work with. And so if you have, when you buy a business and you see there is 5 different things that you can do that can potentially bring growth. Let's say you can improve monetization, you can edit, you can make some changes in the software, some more features. You can find some new partners, sign up some new partners, things like that, increase your payouts and so on, and maybe a couple more options. So that out of those 5, if at least 1 or 2 work out, you'll be okay, you'll do well. And then let's say 3 or 4 of those work out well, then you're going to do exceptionally well, which is very different compared to if you buy a smaller business and you only have, let's say, 1 or 2 things that you are going to do. You buy a content website and you're going to add a lot of content and add a lot of backlinks, and that's it. And if this doesn't work out, well, you're screwed, because you lost all your traffic, you lost everything, and you don't really have much else to go on. But if you also have a list and you have products and you have some some referral traffic, some organic, some social traffic, then there's a lot more things you can do. So bigger businesses are safer. Bigger businesses present more opportunities. Bigger businesses are often a lot more solid and stable. And with bigger businesses, a lot more often I find deals that are businesses that are started by enthusiasts, not businesses that are started by people who build businesses to sell them, but people who just enjoy what they're doing. And that's what often makes it a good business. This is a business that's been built with a solid foundation. Having that solid foundation is what makes it a good deal a lot of the time. Also, when it comes to bigger businesses, the type of buyers and sellers are very different. So these are usually people who are where you can have a better deal structure, and you are dealing with people that just sort of high quality, that understand the industry better, that understand things better, that are more reliable, more trustworthy, and have more capital. And it always works out better. The other thing I've learned about is people, hiring people, managing people, just understanding and reading people. And that's a very important skill when it comes to deal making. So, and this is really something that many people don't know about deal making, that the good deal is not just about paying more money or paying less money. And people everybody don't just want more money for their business. Like, that's what they would say, yes, but in reality there is a lot of complexity to it. Sometimes I had businesses that I acquired, and the sellers, it was very important for them to sell to somebody who's very reliable, because they did not trust people that easily. So it was important to present that image, to have that image, to have that trust, so that they can do their research and background. And then they wanted to do a deal with me, and they even wanted to give me a better deal. Even if they had high offers, they were happy to go with me, because they knew that if they make a deal, they would get their money. That if they make a deal with me, I'm going to follow up. Well, with other buyers, they weren't so sure. So that might be very important, that reputation, that trust. With other people buying a business, they wanted to get cash, they wanted to leave quickly. And so it was important to find a deal structure that I'm able to give them more cash, and that way the price could be much lower. In other deals, there are certain risks that can be mitigated through a more creative deal structure. So there is really a lot of that stuff. A lot of the times it's about really finding out about the deal before it's public, through connections, through networking, for people just coming to me. So it's really an art more than a science, I think. And then of course you have to know what a good deal is. So most people, they would, when they're starting out, they're going to work with a checklist. But for me, I would look at the website, and immediately I know what are the biggest risks, what are the biggest challenges, and I also know right away if it's something that's likely to be good or not. So that sort of skill, you cannot learn that from a course. You cannot learn that quickly. It really takes years of experience and many deals to start to sense that. The importance of seeing what people are good at and understanding people's scope of expertise. So that was really very important for me to understand as I was learning to grow a team, to see quickly, see what people are good at, and assigning them responsibilities and roles that correspond well with what experiences they've had, what challenges we are able to handle successfully, and not giving them too much or not giving them too little. Like that's the biggest skill, really aligning people within the company, giving them the ideal role. And often what happens is people might be very good at doing a certain task, and for that they are promoted, but then they are given a role that they're really bad at. And so on one end you want to promote somebody who is good, but on the other hand, it's important to see that many people might be really good at doing some tasks, at managing some projects, but then they're not very good at managing people. So it's important to just see the scope of somebody's skills and finding the right role for them. Yeah, seeing that there is different set of skills, and not like not assigning your web developer to do SEO, because you gotta see what the scope is of everybody's expertise. And finally, I learned a lot about myself, and I think that's the most important knowledge, to know what you are good at, what you are not so good at, when it comes to business and decision making, especially. Like I've seen for a long time that if there is an important decision, it's important for me to take some time so that there is more clarity, and I might talk to people and ask for some advice, but eventually I would just wait until it becomes more clear as I look at the deal, as I explore things and do more research. And whenever I had to do deals very quickly, often it's sometimes it goes reasonably well, but a lot of the time it's not so well. So I really make sure that I have at least a day or a few days or longer to investigate something. And it's not the same for everybody. I've seen that many people are surprisingly the opposite. I've seen that many people in the industry are very good at making deals in the moment, and then those turn out really well in the end. While if they take a long time to contemplate, they end up making bad decisions and then regretting them later. So it is a surprising thing, but it's really important to see which one works for you, because we are all a bit different. So being aware of your core strengths, of your skills, your weaknesses, your advantages, it's super important. You cannot be good at deals, you cannot be good at business if you don't know yourself in that context. And so additionally, I've learned the importance of having a balance in life. It's important to have work that you enjoy, and sometimes there are periods there I really want to work more, and there is projects that require that. But it's important not to overdo it, not to get too much into it, and have some break, have some vacation, and see what sort of listen to the body, see what happens. Know that you have to vary periods of intense work and rest, and it's important to find your own sense of balance. So that's what I've been learning about the most over this past few years, to see where what gives me that sense of balance, what allows me to work, to be very successful and effective at work, at business, and at decisions, while at the same time maintaining that sense of groundedness and that ability to relax and not get too stressed. And I've also noticed that I can be very effective in stressful situations, very stressful situations, and solve things quickly. But at the same time, I don't enjoy, and I'm not very good in this sort of persistent low level stress, which is what happens then. You have a lot of things to manage, a lot of projects, a lot of people. So that's and it's not the same for many people. Many people are the opposite. They like this kind of low level consistent stress. So that's also important to see, to learn. Yeah, so to sum it up, these are some of the lessons I've learned. Now, as to what's next, well, after taking a long break, over a year now, I really feel like getting back to business, and I've already started looking at some deals, and I'm close to closing one or two soon. And since I've with the exit, with the business sale, I sold everything: the company, the brand, all my websites, well, except my personal website, michaelberezovsky.com. So I'm going to kind of rebuild it a little bit from start and find some new people, arrange things from the beginning again, but do it really the more optimal way this time. And I'm planning to continue doing deals more like one at a time, or very small number, but also find really good partners to work with for capital and for operations. So I'm looking for really great operators with amazing track record who would be willing to partner on things. And I really believe in aligning incentives. I think that's extremely important. And many people miss that in deals. When you work with an agency, you have some middle managers working on your project, but their incentives are often not the same as yours. They are concerned about their jobs. They're concerned about just some sort of internal performance metrics. They're not as concerned about your success, about your business doing well. They are more concerned about whatever the politics within the company are. So it's very different when you work with agencies versus just working with people that you know and you trust, and you can and you give them some equity, some partnership, some profit participation, and you know that their incentives are the same as yours, that they are interested in the long-term success of the business, of the deal, and that they have the time, the effort, the money, the right interest to get it all done well. So that's very important. I'm also going to learn more about different capital options. I haven't really used debt before very much, so now I'd like to look more into that, as well as perhaps doing some funds, perhaps not, we'll see, or just looking for some partners that have more capital and people who understand the industry, understand the opportunities and deals, so that they would not be investing blindly, but they would invest in things that they know. That was always important for me when it comes to working with investors, that investors understand the risks and have an ability to assess them to some extent as well. Now, the market is very different, and that's another really interesting point now. The market has changed a lot. So sometime around, I think around late 2021 and early 2022, the market of, especially of content businesses, but as well as other small online businesses, has really peaked. We had a situation there. Content websites were selling for ridiculous prices of like 50 times the monthly revenue. Content websites with just 1 year or 2 years of history that were built by people who are professional SEOs, website builders. They built them, they ranked them, and then they sell them. And very quickly, people who bought them realized that they don't know what to do. They don't know how to manage them. And Google updates killed those websites. And that started happening more and more on a bigger scale. And so that, of course, affected the prices. There were many, many investors and buyers that did not have any experience, that had absolutely no idea what they were doing. And they were getting a lot of capital and putting it into these really bad deals, buying these websites on different platforms from different brokers that just didn't have a good chance to work out initially. And I think the vast majority of people who acquired online businesses during that period had lost their money. And we've seen also the Google updates became really brutal over the last 2 years. There were updates that decimated pretty much all affiliate sites and all display sites. Everybody who was doing any kind of SEO, building links or doing content. And then there were updates that put sites like Quora and Reddit and all these big high authority sites on top of everything, pretty much every ranking. Everything you Google right now, you would see that you would see there is Reddit, there is Quora, there is all these other websites that are on top. And the smaller websites, the smaller affiliate websites, even if they have much better content, they're usually a lot lower. And so that was the message to SEOs, is that Google is not favoring those small affiliate sites. And pretty much everybody who managed content portfolios, content funds have seen major losses. So it was a challenging period in that sense. And now what we are seeing is that the sales have plummeted. There is a lot less capital, a lot fewer people looking to buy online businesses. So all the marketplaces, all the brokers are reporting fewer sales, much fewer sales in 2024 and in 2023. And so that's a clear trend. At the same time, the buyers have become a lot better educated. So now the huge number of buyers that entered the market around 2020, 2021, and so on, they have learned from their mistakes, they have lost money, and now those who have stayed in the market, they already know, they understand what to do and not to do, and so they are a lot more selective. So they understand what they are doing, which is great. And now it's very difficult to sell low quality websites. Good quality businesses are still being sold and still get good prices, but there is a big variation now in terms of multiples and prices based on quality. And I actually expected that to happen a long time ago. That was the biggest inconsistency in the market that I've seen in the past 5 or 10 years. I've seen that it was a very strange thing that websites that had very high SEO risks, because they were using very aggressive SEO methods, they're selling for pretty much the same multiples as websites that had much longer track record and much lower risks. And to me, that was just insane. And people didn't understand the risks because they didn't have enough experience in that industry yet. And so now they have molded so that that is being corrected. The market is self-correcting, which is what happens in any market. And every market goes through cycles, and it's the same with the online businesses market. So now we are very much in the down, the lower part of the cycle. That means the prices are down, there is fewer buyers, fewer deals being done, there is less capital. But that also presents amazing opportunities, because you have many people who need to sell quickly. And if there are many buyers, they will get good prices. If there are not many buyers, that presents an opportunity to buy good businesses for very low prices. So while at first this may seem like a really bad market to enter the business right now, I would say, in fact, this is the best time, the absolute best time to be in the business, because this is where you make the best deals. This is where you find the best opportunities. As the old saying goes, you have to buy, then people are selling, and then sell, then people are buying. That's how you make money in the market. And so that's why I'm really excited now to get back to business, as I'm seeing amazing opportunities. Everything is priced down, but you have to really know what you're doing. And that's why there is an enormous value to somebody who's a deal maker. There's an enormous value to understanding deals. And many people don't really grasp that. So I've spoken to many people who are more operations oriented, and they're very good at managing businesses, at running businesses and growing them gradually. And they often don't understand the value of a deal, of finding a good deal, because to them, it doesn't matter. They know that they're going to manage it for 5-10 years, and they will grow it, 10 times, 20 times. What's the point of paying a little bit more, a little bit less? They think that they can go to a broker and they can look at deals and then buy something, and that's it. But the truth is, it doesn't really work like that. Finding a good deal is about 50% of success, maybe a lot more. And in a market like that, actually a lot more. It's important to understand the strategy, to see the opportunities, to have a growth plan, to see the big picture. And if you find a business that doesn't have a good base, that doesn't have a solid foundation, it doesn't matter how good you are at managing it. A lot of the time, you just won't be able to recover it, because at the first problem in the market, it's going to fall. So even if you are very good at operations, you still have to find really great businesses, really great deals. and understanding the cycle, seeing the trends, having the right strategy, the right plan. This is very important. I think that really finding the right deals is much more important actually than being very good at operations, because if you have an amazing deal and you're sort of average at operations, you're still going to make good money. You're still going to be very profitable. But if you have a bad deal, which is what most deals are, let's be honest, on the market, you have a bad deal, even if you are amazing at operations, most of the time it's just not going to work very well. And we've seen a lot of that with content sites over the past few years. And we've also seen companies like Thrasio that has raised a lot of capital buying e-commerce deals, and there are some similar ones in the content space, have now become insolvent, have become bankrupt. And that happened with many smaller companies and funds as well, because this is just that part of the business cycle in the online business. There was a part that everything was high, everybody was high, the prices were high, investors were throwing money at everybody, and now it's the opposite. And so, the time when everybody's throwing money around is the time to sell, and now is the time to buy. So yeah, I'm really excited now to be doing more deals, to be going back to the market, and looking at some amazing opportunities, partnering with some really great operators and people willing to invest, to have capital. And I'm planning to continue the podcast, record some new episode to share some more things on how it's going, and more about the lessons I've learned, the deals I've done, and also interview some really interesting people in the industry who are doing some other amazing things. All right, thank you for listening, and see you in the next episode.